Oh, let me turn that back on there. Good afternoon. How are you, Coach? I'm going to be puttering around in here, so just hang loose. We're going to get started in about 15 minutes. Okay.
Stronger love, make it alright. Let go. Gotta hold. Oh, it's gonna slip, slip, slip through. Yeah, slip, slip, slip through your hands. Oh, it's gonna slip, slip, slip through your slip, slip, slip through your hands. Oh, it's gonna slip, slip, slip through your slip, slip, slip through your hands. What's the matter? You don't have enough rain to make up your storm. Ooh, but you look so sad. Where's the light I used to know? Oh, it's gonna slip, slip, slip through your slip, slip, slip through Where's the thing I used to know? Where's the thing I used to know? Where's the light I used to know? Where's the light I
Eduardo, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Doing pretty good.
I've just installed the whole thing for Trainer League.
Oh, you did? Excellent. Okay.
So this is also like a test for me
Okay, great.
to test the equipment and everything.
So you've been through this presentation a couple of times, haven't you?
Yeah, once live
Yeah.
in Toronto,
Yes.
and the other day I went like a few minutes.
Got it.
But
Well, I'm not sure how many people will be joining us here, and also I'm streaming it on Meerkat as well. So we'll see how many people are joining us, and we're a little bit early, so we've got some time.
Yeah, I just wanted to like to hear other people, other people talking and asking questions and things like that also.
Yeah, good.
But if it's only us,
That's true. I don't know. And it says we have 8 people over here on Meerkat, but I'm not seeing all of them. But if you're here, welcome. We're getting started. I'm just going to turn this around so that you see the screen that we are bringing some people in. Cancer fitness. Okay, excellent. And there's all the people. They're all coming in.
yeah.
Now that I've turned the camera around and turned away from it, so let me be a little bit more personal. Oh, hey, good afternoon. Good to see you. Rebelhard is here on Meerkat. Are you doing a lot of stuff on Meerkat yet? I know you're on Blab.
Yes, doing some exercises, breathing in the morning, a little bit of martial arts also.
Excellent.
But also, you know, testing how it works and everything. So I'm like a beginner, but it's good so far, very good.
So we're going to talk about that. I added a few more slides to the presentation today.
Okay.
Depending on who all is here, I might move relatively quickly through the slides. And we did, the guys from Trainerly want to record this. They didn't get it, didn't record last time I did it the other day.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that it records well. So for all of you who are joining me here on Meerkat, when we get started here in just maybe 2 minutes, I'm going to be saying this again, but I want to just throw it out there right now that although I'm going to be kind of running through a presentation, so to speak, don't wait to ask questions. We actually had such a great time in Toronto where Coach Eduardo is from here. Right, there he is, right there. We had a real terrific time, and it just turned out that when you just ask your questions right out, even if it's in the middle of another point that I'm making, it actually makes it better, because it means to me that something that we're going through, something I've said or whatever, has stimulated the question that you want to know about. And so let's talk about those things while it's fresh in your mind, while it, you can make the connection relevant, and make sure that we answer those questions right off the bat. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera back around again and run out one more time, and I'll be right back, and we'll get started. And in the meantime, I'm going to turn on a little traveling music for us.
I don't know if it's just me, but
Hold on a second. What's that, Eduardo?
I don't know if it's just me, but in Meerkat, I see a weak connection.
Yeah, I'm going to go
Is it
check
just
that out and see what we can stabilize there. I'll be right back.
Okay, no, it's good.
Okay, that should be much better.
Yeah, it's better, actually, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put this on mute for now, but don't hesitate. And Rhino Joe, let me just make sure that I've said good welcome and good afternoon. Can you hear us okay? I'm just going to send you a text right there. Yes. Okay. Excellent. That was fast. Good. So let me just then open it up for a moment, or a little bit of a tutorial on asking questions. So like I said, I think that the best way this works is if you just go ahead and ask questions as soon as they come up for you. And there's a couple of different ways that you can ask a question. Number one is that you can, if you're on camera, you can just wave your hand and say, basically, I've got a question, and I will pause and turn your mic on and, let you ask your question or make your comment or whatever you want to do at that moment. The other way is from where you guys are. And Joe, are you on? I'm going to turn your mic on just a second. Are you on a laptop or desktop, or are you on a iPad or iPhone or something? And Joe, you can type that in for me if you want to. Because what I want to say is that if you're on a laptop or desktop and you mouse down to the bottom of your screen, there'll be a little thing down there that says participants. You click on participants. Desktop would have no mic or cam. Got it. Okay. No worries. You can still use chat then. So the second way of asking a question is to go down to participants and click on that button, and a little window will pop up. And on the top bar of that window, it will say raise hand. And if you click on that, then I'll know you have a question, and I'll pause, and that'll work like that. But then, of course, the other way is, like Joe, if you have no mic or no camera, you can type it in on where it says chat, like you've been doing. And when you send that out, it will pop up on my screen, and so I'll actually see that you sent me a message. And so once again, I can stop and answer your question like that. And let me just kind of come over here, say hello to everybody. Hi, Lydia. Good to see you. And everybody else who is visiting us today. Sean, very nice of you to stop by. I hope you can stay for a while. If you guys have any questions, also, I'm basically right here by the camera, even though I've got it pointed at the monitor for today's presentation, and I'm watching for questions. So I want to include you in part of the conversation. Don't hesitate at all to throw something out there if you have a question or comment or want to get involved in the conversation. You're just as much a part of this as people on the other monitor. So having said that, hey, Tony, good to see you. Let me just turn this around once again, and here we go. So welcome, everybody. This is a presentation about how to make a living from live streaming. We also entitled this How to Be a Successful Online Trainer. But I've been doing these presentations in collaboration with the company called Trainerly. And Trainerly is a professional services portal. They wrap up all of the things that a successful online business will need: registration, transactions, with credit cards, etc., billing, scheduling, hosting recorded video, all this kind of stuff. They wrap that all up and provide that for you. And I am a client of theirs. I've been using them for about a year now, and they provide all the services that I need. So their focus up to this point has been on the fitness industry. But I've been really encouraging them and everybody who comes to my streams to think more broadly. Because although this platform is really well tailored for fitness, it's also a great medium for just about any business that you can imagine. Any kind of business that has transmittable or transferable ideas, things that are teachable, things that are coachable, things that are consultable, you might say. All of those things can be done on this platform. And I'm going to talk about that today, like how you can think more broadly about your business and then use Trainerly or a service like that to make that happen. We're being joined right now by Russ here. Russ is one of the co-founders of Trainerly, and I'm going to bring him in a little bit later to talk about all the services that Trainerly provides and what they do, because he can talk to it much more professionally than I can, because he's actually the dude who makes it all happen. Once again, for those of you who don't know, I want to make really clear, I'm not a employee or owner or investor or anything like that in Trainerly. I'm a customer. But I'm very happy with the stuff that they do, and we've been working with them pretty closely. So we've done these presentations online together. They were one of our co-sponsors up at CanFit Pro in Toronto last month, and so that's why we're doing this. And I'm really excited about live streaming. As a lot of you guys on Meerkat know, I'm on here all the time. And I think it is like a game changer in commerce, and so I want to see it succeed. I want to see it grow, and I want to see people who are interested in it, who want to be early adopters and leaders in it, get started successfully. So that's what I'm doing here today. For those of you who don't know very much about me, let me just give you the briefest of introductions. I'm gonna turn this around real quick just so that I can talk to you guys as well. I am a teacher of mindfulness practices, including Tai Chi and meditation and other kinds of lessons about increasing the kind of awareness that you can have about life. And they include the awareness of your physical health and well-being, as well as your spiritual and mental and personal development. And I have been doing this for about 40 years now. And about 3 years ago, we moved my entire business online. Prior to that, I'd had several schools. I'd owned my own personal training studio, a very conventional sort of boutique personal training studio in an upscale neighborhood nearby here where I live in Southern California. I'd also had a number of different of my own businesses, martial arts schools and Tai Chi academies in Oregon and in Honolulu, Hawaii. And then after that, we started my own business where we were teaching other teachers. We were doing instructor training to teach Tai Chi the way I teach. And I was traveling a lot. I was traveling all over the world, actually, mostly in the United States and Canada, but we went other places as well. We had other instructors go to Germany and do some training and whatnot. So 2013, I was on the road for 40 weekends. That was how much I was traveling. And I have small children. I have a 7-year-old and 11-year-old here at home. And that was pretty tough. And at the end of 2013, we sat down and said, is this business model sustainable? Very expensive to travel that much. And we were also doing trade shows and conferences and whatnot. And we weren't sure that we would be able, wasn't sure that I personally would be able to sustain that kind of pace. I didn't want to be away from home that much. And it was also difficult for us to have a margin in our business doing that much travel. So we investigated one more possibility. I had a guy who was working for me and he said, take another look at live streaming. I had been in live streaming in 2010, started live streaming in 2000, maybe 2009 even. And I was very excited about the possibilities, but the technology just was pretty clunky. It just wasn't very smooth, very, very good video quality, the way that you would get online, the connection you'd have with people, the number of people you could have in there, and the cost made it not really workable. But when my staff person asked me to take a look at this one last time in 2013, I was really blown away with what the state of the art had become. And we immediately knew that this was the wave of our future. And we moved about 90% of our business online, meaning live streaming, and I never looked back. And so, when I talk about making a living from live streaming, I can talk about that because I'm doing it. Our business is entirely online with live streaming. We teach classes. I run a full-time academy. I do teacher training. We do one-on-one sessions. I do my mindfulness mentoring, all online. And so I can talk to you about what that looks like and how to get that set up. And that's what I want to do today. So that's a brief introduction to who I am and why I'm the one talking about this today. And so if you have any questions along the way, or anything that you want to clarify, or like, wow, what about this? If you have an brain excitement there, don't hesitate. Just go ahead and jump in and throw out your question, and we'll talk about it right then. So now, guys, here on Meerkat, I'm going to turn this around so that you can see this, because I'm going to take us through some slides here, some slides and some brief video. And Russ, do you want to say anything before we get started about that?
I'm trying, there are some people who couldn't log in, so I'm trying to resend the link to them.
Okay.
Sorry, I was multitasking, but basically what we provide a setup for personal trainers to do their business online. There are bunch of benefits that come with the Sorry about that.
No, I'll
But
tell you what, Russ, hold on to that. We'll come back to that. I'm going to give you a chance to do the whole presentation. Um, I just,
yeah, let's do that later because
yeah,
I gotta get those people the
yeah,
link
yeah,
from the
totally.
call then. Sorry about that.
No worries. That was just Russ's polite way of saying he wasn't listening to a damn thing I said, is what he meant. There, okay. So, all right, here we go. No worries. Okay. Are you guys able to see this clearly on your screen? Okay, great. Let me see if I can just make this a tiny bit bigger. Okay, so I think by this time, I started out doing these presentations several months ago, and at that time, every time I started this presentation, I would start out by making a case about why live streaming is workable, why live streaming is going to be the wave of the future. And I think in just a very short time, in the last 6 months, especially the people who are here, watching this right now, there is, I think a level of understanding about what this is all about. I don't need to convince anybody anymore. Tony just asked me to put down the name of the service in the chat. I'm just going to head and type that in right now. It's actually trainer.ly, trainer.ly or Trainerly. And this is the company that Russ is with, and that he'll talk more about that in a little bit. And so right here, the opening screen is how to be an online trainer, or as I put it, the future of learning everything. Like I said, any kind of business that is transferable in terms of information is going to be on this device, right? This is where the future is, right there. And I think, like I said, I think most people have understood that by now, but here's just a couple of quick examples. And guys, I don't know if you can see this on your mobile devices if you guys are watching on Meerkat, but I'll try to read some of this to you. Just a couple of quick examples. iTunes and Spotify, they've just wiped out the old version of the music industry where you'd go down to the local music store, record store, Tower Records, whatever, even going into Barnes & Noble's music section and buying CDs or buying vinyl. It just doesn't happen anymore. Now it's all online, and you download an album or a single song or something like that, make your playlist right there. Airbnb is another example. It's busting open the travel and hospitality industry. If you haven't tried Airbnb, I can totally recommend it. I've stayed in so many great places, and they are. In fact, when I was in Toronto, one of the guys who came to the presentation told me that when Airbnb came out, he recognized it right off the bat and went around Canada and bought a whole bunch of apartments and condos that now he rents out as Airbnb device, and he makes like an amazing living just from his Airbnb sites on the side. It's pretty cool. Amazon, wiped out Crown Books and Borders bookstores. Barnes & Noble ain't what it used to be. It's about to break open the big box discount stores like Walmart. And so all of these examples here are examples of industries which have been disrupted and now moved into a digital space. And when we focus on the fitness industry, the point is that the fitness industry isn't going to be immune to this move. And so with so much of the rest of the marketplace moving into a digital space, the fitness industry is going to follow. And it's going to have to follow whether they like it or not. And so if you want to be one of the people who, are late adopters or, hold on to your old model of business for as long as possible, great. But when you arrive late at the party, you don't get all the benefits of being an early adopter. The leadership in the industry, the recognition by the people who are also early adopters, the opportunities for investment, all those kinds of things. So it's better to, trust me, as a surfer, I'm telling you, it's always better to be in front of the wave than behind the wave, right? That's just a truism. So one of the reasons why the marketplace in just about every industry is moving into a digital space is because we have a new kind of consumer out there. It's not everybody, obviously, but it crosses over lots of different age demographics. We used to think about this as the millennials, and a lot of times, if you listen to people who are talking about digital commerce, social media, social market, social networking, et cetera, they highlight the younger generation and the millennials and whatnot. But I'm telling you, it's not just the millennials at all. Right now, some of the fastest growing adopters of e-commerce and digital marketing and digital commerce are people in the baby boomer generation. And so when we start to take a look at who is the modern consumer, it's not just young people, it's people across every age group and every demographic. But here are some of their characteristics. They're asking specific kinds of questions. They're asking questions like, number one, how can this product or service save me time? How can this product or service save me time? This is a biggie. It's a biggie, especially in the fitness industry, because time is one of the objections, if you will, one of the reasons why people give for not engaging in fitness, for not signing up for a personal training package, or regularly coming to a class, or having their own workout schedule. They're like, I don't have time. I'm working 7 days a week. I've got kids at home. I can't make it to the office and back to the gym, change my clothes, back to the office. It's the time factor is prohibitive. Right? So one of the advantages here, as we're going to talk about in a little bit, is that being in the digital space, you can say, well, that's no problem. That's no problem. I can show you how we can save you all that time, all that commute, all that going across town, everything can be just done away with by being in a digital space instead. The next question that they're asking a lot is, and Malia says, yes, and baby boomers have a lot more money than millennials, right? They have the most disposable and liquid income of any demographic group. And by the way, I just want to say hello to a few people who are just jumping in over here on Meerkat. Malia, it's so good to see you. I miss you greatly. I haven't seen you in forever. And thanks for coming in. Chef Lizette, one of my first ever Meer crushes over here. And still my favorite. You know you are. So I just wanted to say hello and acknowledge that you were coming in. And Malia, you've got a good point. So the baby boomers have more disposable income, and they still are concerned about time, because they don't want to waste it. They haven't got much left. That's not true at all. I'm one of those baby boomers. I got plenty of time left. But that still could be one of the things that how they look at it. Don't waste my time. Another question that they're asking is, how can this product or service bring me the best value? And we're going to talk about what value means, but you might consider that value could mean different things to different people. And yet, in any way that you look at value for a product or service, what you want to consider is that the modern consumer has very, very well-developed bullshit radar. They will know what is valuable and what is not, and they are not going to be able to be fooled, right? But if you can bring value into the digital space, you will win at the modern, digital commerce game. And finally, the question they're asking is this product or service relevant? And what I mean by relevant is, does it mesh with the rest of my life? Now, here's an example from fitness that I always point out. Think about this consumer. Think about this potential client and how many other places they're going to get their products and services in the online world. They want music, they go to iTunes or Spotify. They want to travel, they go to Kayak or Airbnb. They want a ground transportation service, they call Uber or Lyft. Or they don't mean call, actually. They go onto their cell phone and pull up the app and order it right there, with their thumb. They want food, even they can get food delivered pre-cooked right to their door. They want to order groceries. You know, many places, Amazon is now delivering food right to your doorstep. I want fitness services. All of a sudden, they have to make a change. All of a sudden, instead of having all of that available to them in a digital space, now they have to stop and go to a gym or have a trainer come to their house or go out to the park where they can meet with some other people and work out. In other words, it is not consistent with the way that they're currently shopping for other goods and services. And as more goods and services move into the digital space, that's just going to get more separated, right? So relevance is one of the questions that the modern consumer is asking. And if you can bring your product or service into the same space where they're buying everything else, you will be more successful, right? Melissa says, David-Dorian is one of the most developed cyborgs out there. Yes, my chip implant is no longer irritating my neck there. It's doing very well, actually. All right. So for many of you, all you guys out there on in Meerkat land, this is going to be no surprise or not news. But if anybody is still not clear about what I mean by being an online trainer or having an online business, digital space, I'm talking about live streaming specifically. And here's just a little video, a short video that gives an example of what this looked like. You can look. All right. Hey, Derek, I just saw that I saw your question. Is this for real time? There is no conversation, This was just a short video that we were playing so that you could see what we're talking about. And like I said, if you're on Meerkat already, it's probably no news to you. You understand what live streaming means. But I make this presentation to a lot of people who are, in specific, when we were in Canada, in Toronto last month, there was a lot of people who had never really seen live streaming work. And so this was really a revelation to them about how that works. So, and just so you know, hi guys. I wanted to turn this around so that it wasn't a disconnect from me talking to the other folks over here. And also just that you can see how this works in terms of live streaming a webinar. So here we all are. There I am right there. There's Eduardo. Russ is over there puttering around, doing some other things. And here's Joe over here who's online watching what's going on, even though he doesn't have a camera that's active right now. So he's still participating, right? So there's just some real-time examples. And yeah, it's a presentation that if it's not interactive. Got it. Yeah, I'm sure that's why I wanted to come in and say hello. I have a couple of short videos that I'll be presenting like this so that you just are aware of that beforehand. But what I wanted to remind everybody of, and I reminded everyone in the beginning over here, and Errol and everyone who is joining right now, I wanted to say welcome and just kind of throw out there, I am encouraging you guys to ask any questions that you might have. Don't hold back from asking questions. because we found out that this presentation actually works the best if you just, ask a question as soon as it occurs to you. Don't wait for me to get to a break in the presentation or anything like that. This is an opportunity for stuff that's fresh in your mind. Just go ahead and raise your hand. And so one of the ways you can actually do that is to literally raise your hand and go, I have a question. And I'll break in and we'll talk about that. And the same thing is true for you guys over here on live stream on Meerkat. If you have questions, I'm trying to watch both sources, so please don't hesitate to ask those questions. Like Derek, that was a great question. I hope that you're still here and had a chance to hear it. All right. So, and by the way, I want you to notice how you can use this. So some of you who are here today might have an opportunity or an interest in hosting webinars. And so here is how webinars can work. Like we're doing this right now. I have the opportunity to share my screen, show you a slideshow, show you, video. If you're doing this for fitness reasons, imagine that you could video your client performing a fitness task or their workout and play it back to them and say, look at your alignment here. Look at the muscle imbalance that I'm talking about. Here is a way to do this technique more efficiently or more safely. And you could do that like I just showed the video right here. So this is a really versatile use of the equipment. And Trainly can host all of that kind of stuff. Where do we house all of our content? So there is there are small content that I can host right on top of my desktop here, like this presentation, a small slideshow. But if I have like all of my recorded videos, things that I want to make available for download, either for sale or for rent, Trainly can host them right there. And as Russ is going to show you a little bit later, for no additional cost. So this is one of the cheapest places to house video. I also use Amazon S3, which is pennies to house, terabytes of video, and yet free is still cheaper than pennies. So Russ, the guys at Trainly, can handle all that stuff for us. Okay, let me turn this back around. And, good, Derek. So let me just kind of run you through then some of the basics of live streaming. And by the way, the context of this, Derek, I think maybe you have missed this. I've been doing this since 2013. My business runs almost entirely online, and we use live streaming. That's how I deliver all of my content. And so I have some experience with it. This is our business. We just did taxes. So we did 175,000 in revenues last year from just our online content. Right? And that's not counting the royalties I make from the hosted video content that Trainly helps me out with. So it's a very viable business model. Okay. So here's some pretty simple basics. Number one, what you want to understand about live streaming is that the cost of entry is so very low, it's almost zero. Back in 2006, my partner and I started our own boutique personal training studio in a very upscale neighborhood near where I live here in Southern California. The total cost of entry for us at that time was $250,000. That includes the purchase of the business, the equipment, the remodel, the client base, the marketing, et cetera. That was our entry into the business. The cost of entry into live streaming is probably less than $2.50. Right? I mean, I'm being a little bit generic about that, but in terms of the relative costs, it is so low as to be almost free. And we're going to talk specifically about that in just a little bit. Extreme flexibility. This is another aspect. I'm going to just stop the presentation because I want to see the show of hands. And also over here on Meerkat. if any of you want to do like a show of hands or a thumbs up or something like that, how many of you are night owls? Errol says he's a night owl. How many of you guys are night owls? How many of you guys would prefer to like start later in the day? That your best energy is maybe, my partner's like that. I, as most of you know, get up at stupid o'clock every day. I'm up at 3:30 in the morning to start my work day. My partner, on the other hand, she gets going right around 8:30 p.m. And, you know, that's her best time. So imagine this. Imagine that you could actually sleep in all you want, get up, you know, in the afternoon, start seeing clients at, you know, 6 p.m. at night, but all of your clients were in another time zone. All of your clients were on the West Coast if you're on the East Coast, or they're in Asia or the Pacific. They might be in Australia or New Zealand. Because with live streaming, you are no longer limited to your local geography, right? Now, right now, when we're talking about, you know, what are the constraints of running a business, you have to say, well, when is everybody else in my area doing business, right? They're up at 9 to 5, and that's when they spend money, and that's when they go to the gym or, you know, hire my services typically. But if you're not limited to your local area, then you could pick wherever it is that you wanted to work. Right? You could pick the clientele. And I, right now, currently have students from all over the world. I have students throughout Canada. We have students in Germany. We have students in Poland. Furthest east right now we have is in Kazakhstan. We have students in China. So literally spanning the globe. Right? There's no limitation on that. And that makes this platform so very, very flexible. Right? Yeah. Malia, you didn't know that I got up that early? That is stupid o'clock. All right. Let me go back here. For the same reason that you have extreme flexibility, the size of your potential client base is virtually unlimited. Unlimited. Because I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's like 7 billion people on the planet. So there's a lot of people there. Like you may live in a town where, in fact, one of our instructors lives in a small town in Nebraska. There's, I think he said 250 people in the actual town. But he also does online streaming. And so his client base is hundreds of thousands of people, millions, potentially. It all depends on how you market yourself. Which brings us to our next point, and that is that you will have to be tech savvy, but not overly much. You don't have to design your own websites. You don't have to do any coding. You don't have to set up, you know, complicated cookies or SEO or anything like that. In fact, we're going to show you how Trainly can take care of all that stuff for you. But the tech savvy aspect of this comes to play in the fact that social media and social networking will be crucial to your success. This is not negotiable. This is not a take it or leave it aspect. Trainers in this space who employ diligent social networking will win. And those who don't do social networking will lose. It's just as simple as that. But I'm going to show you how easy that is in just a minute here. And finally, the basics of this, and this is, you know, good news for some people, bad news for other people, is that you will actually have to have skills to enter into the space. Right? Now, I don't know how many of you, I've been in the fitness industry for 30 plus years, and it's always been like this, but there's always been trainers who, you know, don't have great skills, don't have great education, don't pursue ongoing continuing education, and, you know, they just look good. They're big. They have, you know, either great genetics, or they just work out a lot, or they're former athletes, and they get away with what we call being a glorified babysitter, rep counters. Those kinds of trainers will no longer be able to be successful in this space. Because, as I said, the modern consumer has a very sensitive BS radar. They can see right through what is valuable and what is not valuable. So you will have to actually bring a higher level of skill and expertise into this space. But if you have skills, if you've got chops, You will win. Okay. So just to kind of give you, by the way, let me just kind of pause here for a second. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. If you've got any questions, like I said before, please don't hesitate to just put it out there. There's also a little feature at the bottom of your guys' screen that you're watching this on that says participants. And if you click on that, a little window will pop up and there's a little thing that says raise hand. And if you click that, it will let me know that you have a question and I'll be able to just jump right in and answer it. Julius, hey, good to see you. I see that you got signed up on Trainly, and I think I saw you on Meerkat, if I'm not mistaken. Good job, you. Excellent. Also over here, you guys on Meerkat, remember that I'm trying to watch for your questions over here, so please don't hesitate if you got questions or, and you're also, as I see, oh, Derek's in Scotland. Okay, so this is a great idea. This is just to my point earlier about flexibility. So Derek's in Scotland. He's obviously up at night. He can do, it's 2 a.m. there. And so here's the deal. Derek could actually be making money right now. Derek could be working with clients here in the US and on his time, you know, at a time when he could be productive, not constrained by the fact that it's 2 a.m. there, because there's got plenty of people right here who would probably love to work with you. And it doesn't have to be, I'm going to point out, limited to fitness. It's about anything that you can transmit, teach, coach is a great idea for this platform. Okay, here's a little short video that I wanted to share. This is how I do it. This is just a 30-second reel about how my classes look, so you can see some of the possibilities. One of the reasons I'm showing this is in a moment I'm going to talk about how to set up your own, you know, studio, what that might look like, and so you'll get a chance to see mine. And I'm going to turn this around so that you can see it.
Places that you'd never find. I know something about a state of mind. I've got the dream in me. Roses bloom and the sun will shine. Leave the troubles in the world behind. Stars shine bright and we can free your mind. I've got the dream in me.
So it's just very short, but what I'm hoping that you could see in that little video clip is the fact that, number one, kind of an example of how you could set up a studio that looks very nice and professional. Number two, that it's very versatile. I could do groups, I could do individuals. You can also hybrid your classes. In other words, if you have a studio space right now, you don't have to give it up if you don't want to. You could be teaching classes inside the studio and live streaming at the same time, so that you could make the best of both worlds. And I was talking, actually, Julius came last time, and I was pointing out that it's simply another skill to develop, like looking at another corner of the room. Let's say you're teaching a class or a small group workout. You have to watch everybody inside the room, and you just have to think about the people in live streaming as another corner of the room that you have to pay attention to as well, right? But it's very easily done to do both at the same time. So I'm just looking over. This is the face I make when I'm trying to read the teeny tiny print over there. I would think anyhow, to any kind of business would be good for this. Absolutely, that's my point. I agree. Well, there are certain things that you are probably going to have difficulty with. There's certain kind of service, like I couldn't run a dry clean business by live streaming, although I could market my dry clean business. I could build a brand that way. But there has to be things that don't require me to actually manipulate some kind of physical object that I get from my client and have to give it back. I couldn't run a restaurant on a live streaming, although I could teach cooking classes on live streaming, right? I couldn't fix a car on live streaming, but I could help somebody diagnose a car problem using live streaming remotely. So there's different ways that you could do that. How would you charge? That's an awesome question. So the question is how would you charge? And I'm going to get into that in a second, but I said, if you've got a question, we'll just answer it as soon as it comes up. You should charge as much or more for your live streaming business services as you do for your face-to-face in-person business. If you don't already have a pricing structure for your business, then there's all the typical ways that you figure out your pricing structure. You figure out the value of your time, you investigate the comparable businesses in your space and figure out what they're charging, so what the market will bear, all those kinds of things. But the question that I often get asked is, should it be less because now they don't have to leave their home, right? I don't know if that's what you might be thinking, but I get asked that question a lot. And here is my response. Being able the ability for your clients to stay at home and do the business with you is a benefit. It's a value add. Doesn't make your service less value. It makes it more valuable. So if anything, you should charge more. I didn't change my fact. I did raise my prices a tiny bit when we went entirely to online, right? As you continue to refine your services and your live streaming business gets better and better and bigger and more multidimensional, you can raise your prices accordingly, just as you would if you had a brick and mortar studio and you say, well, this year we're raising our prices, 10% over last year because of all the reasons people do that. Run it the same way. Great question. Awesome question. All right, let me just kind of go over here back to the slides and talk about, this is some new slides. So Eduardo, I don't know if you're still here, but there you are, sir. I said I had some new slides I wanted to talk about. So one thing that everybody was asking me last time was more specifically how to get started. And so I wanted to just talk about this as easy as 1, 2, 3. Almost. I mean, so I'm going to start with some assumptions that you've got your business basics already figured out. Like you know what you're going to be, what your business is going to be, and maybe you've got some clients already that you have a sense of, that you have a bank account and you've got all that kind of stuff figured out. If that's the case, if you know who your target market is, all the basic things that any business needs to figure out, then the first thing is to set up your live streaming account. This is number one. The number one, so you go and you figure out, where am I going to be doing all these live streaming? And so I wanted to show you just kind of a list of some of the other, some of the web-based meeting, webinar, streaming services that are out there. GoToMeeting, WebEx, Webinars on Air, which is built on top of Google Plus Hangouts, Skype, Join.me, and Zoom.us. Now, this is just a partial list of probably dozens of live streaming platforms out there. What I wanted to just kind of cut to the chase with is, when we moved our business to online, live streaming at the end of 2013, we went through more than a dozen of these different webinar type platforms. We tried them all out, and they had so many limitations and so much unreliability in the quality of the stream, and the limitations of things like I could only fit a certain number of people into the live streaming room at one time, that at the end of the day, there was only one. There was really only one service that stood out, that was high enough video and audio quality, that was consistent and reliable, and that was Zoom, Zoom.us. And that's why I have it over here. I'm going to show the list one more time. And I'll go over, because I know this is very small for you guys on this screen. And again, this is just a partial list. GoToMeeting, WebEx, Webinars on Air, which is on top of Google Hangouts, Skype, Join.me, and Zoom, Zoom.us. And the fact that Zoom has HD quality video, it's got TV quality audio, it is rock solid stable, it is very reliable. I've never had a problem with the stream on Zoom ever in the last 3 years, right? And this also is part of the story about how I got hooked up with Trainily, because I was talking to my my account rep at Zoom, and I asked if there was anybody else in the fitness world who was involved with Zoom, and they led me to Trainily, introduced me to that. And when I found Trainily, I just did a happy dance, because they solved all these different problems they were really problems. They were just pains in my ass. Things like, reporting and registration and documents and all this kind of stuff. And Trainily did all that for me. And so I'm gonna let Russ talk more about that in a little bit here. Jamea goes, have I had an experience with product placement within my streams? I haven't yet. Jamea, this is a great question. I'm anticipating that's going to happen. I think that it will start to be built into some of these platforms. And I think it will be an opportunity for people who are streamers to find sponsors and do product placement like that. I think that this territory is still very, very new, and people haven't taken advantage of all the opportunity yet. But I see that coming. Maybe we can be the first ones, right? You bet. Now let me turn this back around. So that's the first thing to do, is set up your live streaming account. So go to one of these. And by the way, I'm going to make this even more clear. You can absolutely DIY your whole setup using one of these platforms. I don't recommend it because it is very cumbersome, and you don't need to have that kind of grief. Let somebody else do some of this work for you. All right. Step number 2, practice your format. So once you have got your live streaming setup, account set up, start using it. You might figure out that again, this is using fitness as an example, but extrapolate, work with me. If you're teaching something else, like Jameo is a musician, so he teaches drum. You could just practice what kind of class you would teach. Here's my recommendation, start with free sessions. Find your 1 or 2 loyal existing clients or students that you want to do something nice for, and say, I would love to have you be my first guinea pigs. You'll get some free sessions out of it, and I'll get some practice. One of the first things that's going to happen is your clients are going to get hooked on the ease and flexibility. It's like, wow, you mean I can just stay home and have a drum lesson? I can stay home and have a yoga class, right? I can stay at the office. I got to work late, can't get home. No worries. I can just roll out the mat right there in my office. I have worked with a lot of corporate clients, and we just have them stand up to do Tai Chi right in their cubicle, right? So they'll get hooked on that, and then we'll say, okay, great. When are you actually starting for real? Because I want to sign up. The other thing this will allow you to do is to work out the bugs, right? Rehearse your act, so to speak, right? If you're going to be, delivering this service, you want to be very professional and smooth at it before you get started. So practice your format before anything else. Number 3, set your pricing and your schedule. So setting your pricing is sort of like one of those things that you probably already have figured out, or maybe you'll work that out while you're doing your practice sessions. But have that in your pocket, and then set a schedule. Now, when I was talking to Derek over here, and I was suggesting that you could be really flexible and have classes or sessions at any time around the clock, my recommendation is that you set a particular schedule, right? Otherwise, your clients are going to expect you to be on the clock 24 hours a day. You're going to say, well, how about Sundays at 4 p.m. or 10 a.m. when the football game's on, whatever. Right? So you can set your schedule. These are the hours that I am available. These are the hours in which I'll be teaching classes. We'll schedule within that time frame. Then you can always add to it. Then you can always go on outside of it. But set your pricing and your schedule. The next thing here, number 4, is reconsider your menu. So I had suggested that early on, you should probably already have your service figured out, right? What are you teaching? What are you providing? That's where you start with. But at this point, I recommend that you start saying, well, what else could I provide here? So in addition, if you maybe you start out by saying, I want to teach group classes, that you could expand to private sessions or vice versa. You could teach webinars for larger groups of people or covering more in-depth content. You could add downloadable video. So you could record. We're recording this session right now, right? And so Trainerly is going to be able to show this to people who weren't able to be here live today. I also have a lot of professionally done video. And so you could put any and all of that up there for free, for rent, or for sale. And Trainerly will host all of that for you. And then, and this is a big one, and I think only now reasonable in the digital space, start thinking about what other interests and skills you have. And I get how most of us are coming to this presentation with an intention, like I have a business or I have a skill set or I have something that I want to start doing in the digital space. But I will bet that you also have something else that you do, a hobby, a secondary career or profession. If you are a musician, maybe you're also a writer. If you're a fitness trainer, maybe you're also an actor. Trust me, I live in LA or nearby LA. Everybody in LA who's a fitness trainer is also an actor. So you could teach acting lessons on, anything that you could do, what other interests or skills you have, and without having to separate or segment your different skills, you could offer a wider menu. Right? You don't have to do it right away, but it could be in the back pocket for when you're ready. And finally, then start social networking. Now, when I talk about social networking, I know there's many different platforms, and there's a lot of people on Meerkat, a lot of people on all the social media platforms talking about the different social media ways of doing things. Everybody's got their favorite one, and we talk a lot about how different demographics will gravitate towards certain social media platforms. And so maybe your group, your target market's on Facebook, some of them might be on Snapchat, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to suggest, however, that if your business is on live streaming platform, then that's where you do your social networking, right here on Meerkat, Periscope, Google Hangouts, Blab, Nomadcast, because Nomadcast goes directly to Facebook, in case you haven't heard of Nomadcast yet. It's like Meerkat that just plays right natively on Facebook. My favorite is Meerkat. I find that I've already developed a really strong community here. I know how to engage and work it and who the people are here, what kind of people show up. But wherever your favorite is, if you're going to be doing a business online, then you need to be live streaming your social networking. Why? Because that's where your customers are hanging out. If your customers are going to be the kind of people who get live streaming and would hire you and take your service up via live streaming, then that's where they're going to be hanging out to do social networking. Obviously, probably in addition to other places as well. But live streaming social networking affords you something that no other platform gives you. And that is the ability to be transparent. So people can see directly into who you are, how you deliver your service, ask you live questions, and figure out and put themselves into the imagination of using you for your product or service, right? Real time. No other social networking platform will allow you to do that. So the last and most critical piece of this is when you start, ready to take on new clients, get on a live streaming social networking platform and just deliver the heck out of it. Right? All right. There's a few more slides I have. They're not really going to add anything more. Just some things that you probably already know about the value of social networking, different business models that you could have. Here's, by the way, just a little slide that shows you how versatile Trainly is. You could literally do your classes, your service with almost any device, like on your cell phone, on your tablet, on a laptop right here. This is my setup here. I've got a couple of big monitors so that I can both watch myself deliver content, and another bank of monitors over here where I can watch the group. But like one of the reasons why I started doing this in the first place was because I traveled so much, and I figured I could just be in my hotel room with limited equipment and still be able to deliver my classes. So that was very cool. Now, how can I help? What questions do you have, or what would you need to know at this point in time that could help you, actually get going? But before we get into that, let me turn it over to Russ and have him talk about what Trainly does. And I'll tell you a little bit more about why I use them if you have questions about that. But they just provide this great package of services, and I'm going to let him talk about it.
Well, hi, my name is Russ, and I'm co-founder of Trainly. First of all, I'd like to thank our wonderful host for such an insightful presentation, and thank you all for coming as well. As DDR mentioned, we basically didn't invent anything new. What we did, we just packaged everything together so you guys can create your own online studio without going all these different directions and trying to do it all yourself. What we provide high definition video streaming, which is both ways. You could do private classes one-on-one, or you could do multiple classes group classes up to 100 people. You could do webinars. We take care of all your scheduling, notifications, all this stuff that you would have to do yourself. We give you reporting where you could see your profits, you could see your rosters of people who signed up for a class, list of sessions, and etc. You could also store your videos with us. You can offer them for free. You can rent them or sell them. On top of it, the most important part, we process your payments. It's something that if you want to do business, you'll need to send your invoices somewhere. And if you go elsewhere, for all these services, people will charge you money. So what we do for you, we basically take 15% from what you sell. And first 30 days from your first sale, we give for free. So it says your free trial. And this gives you presence, automatically gives you a web presence. So you get your web page, you kind of list it in our directory, and this gives you an exposure that you can build on. We're basically not such our competitors that charge monthly basis or any membership fees. On top of it, if you have your own website, what we do, we give you a widget for your webinars, for your classes, for your videos that you can integrate into your website very simply by just pasting a little, snippet of code. And this will automatically provision your schedule that you have on our website to your website. So that's basically all. That's pretty much all of our services. If you, for more in-depth description of it, you can go to trainer.ly, which is our website, www.trainer.ly /pricing. There we list all the information you need to see what services we provide. And also, we'll be more than happy to help you with any of your questions. I understand for some of you it's a technical challenge, which is we make it as simple as possible, but you do need to know how to use a computer and you have some basic skills. But as I mentioned in our chat today, that when iPhone just came out, there was a total radical, deviation from the standard phone that we used to, that had buttons. It was very different for a lot of people. This is much easier than iPhone, so I can guarantee you that. And I'll hold your hand to set you up, and my great partner Leo, who's not here right now, he'll be more than happy to give you one-on-one demo and answer any of your questions.
Awesome. Julius has a question. Julius, go ahead.
Two questions. The first question, for the 15%, does that include any credit card processing fees?
No, you don't pay for anything.
In other words, yes, it does include it. It's all
I'm sorry.
inclusive. Yes. I knew he was trying to.
Yes, it includes everything. I'm sorry.
Okay. And second question, David, you're mentioning that you can do your classes in hotel rooms and stuff. Do you do that with your laptop and webcam, or can you use your iPad? Because I haven't been able to find an app, or is there an app available for Trainerly?
Well, Trainerly, the sign up for the Trainerly classes will be on your website or on Trainerly as well, so that your customers will sign up for that. What you will do is you will use the browser on your tablet and sign up from the browser. So I imagine, and I don't know, I'm just kind of putting the word out there for the Trainerly guys, that they're probably going to develop an app for us before the end of next year, so that it will be app based. But the way I do it is I just sign on to the browser.
Okay.
So I'll just pull up Safari or something like that, type in Trainerly on my iPad, go to my regular login button, and it just launches right there. What you'll have to do is you'll have to have Zoom app, on your iPad. But I've done it. I've done it with like almost every kind of device that you can imagine. I have literally done a class on my cell phone, right, on my iPhone in class. I've tried to be more fancy and like schlep, my laptop with my webcam and a separate microphone with me, and it was very nice and it was a little bit more professional. But the thing was, all of my clients totally got where I was. They didn't care, actually. They're like, we're just happy that you could be here with us today. And so they're very forgiving. They're much more concerned about the consistency of me being there than if it was like studio quality.
Okay. Thanks.
You bet. That's a great question. So I wanted to make sure that you guys appreciated what Trainerly does. And, and I have a personal a personal experience with Trainerly. So I can tell you from the usage point of view that it's made my life a lot easier. And not for nothing, Russ is going to cringe when I say this. There's lots of different ways you could do this. You don't have to use Trainerly's services to DIY your own live streaming platform. You can go directly to Zoom and get that, or go to Meeting or something, or still use Skype if you want to. I will tell you that their quality is shit compared to Zoom. However, that'll be something that you'll determine on your own. What Zoom offers, however, what Trainerly offers is the ability to go in there and try it all out for free. To set up your live streaming account, to upload video, to get clients, to do a whole bunch of classes and one-on-one sessions, as long as you're not charging any money. Figure it all out. Figure if it actually works for you. If it doesn't work for you, if you don't like the quality of the services that they provide, you have had no cost. So this is what I meant at the very first slide when I said that the cost of entry is almost zero, right? My last business, my last brick and mortar business cost me $250,000 to put together. You could literally start your business tomorrow morning for $0. And that's a pretty good cost of entry. Anyway, so the juniors over here, he asked the same question about pricing. I hope that, did that answer your question? And then if you have guys have any other questions, just let me know. All right. Any other questions that I can answer or that I could get Russ to answer for you? Just want to make sure that everybody's mic is on.
Is that right?
Yeah, now it's on.
Yeah, there you go. Errol, do you guys have a question?
No, basically just we were discussing whether we actually had any questions, and it's pretty straightforward. What we've got to do is we've got our brick and mortar, and so what we've got to do is figure out how we can apply this. I've got some ideas on how I would apply it in terms of client education. You know, just as to enhance our business, our brick and mortar business, in addition to transitioning to a more you know, more digitally based business, you know, to transition it out over the next couple. So we're just
Can I ask you a question? Where are you guys located?
New York City.
New York City. Okay, so when I was in Toronto, and there's places around the country where this is a big deal, some places a little bit less of a deal, but when I was in Toronto, some of the people came to the presentation.
I'm flying Turkish Airlines. There are going to be so many.
Were sharing with me that they had a lot of snowbird clients, that they had seasonal clients. I didn't have snowbird clients out here in Southern California, but we got almost like the opposite. I had clients who would, because of the place where we had our business, would travel. Like I had a hedge fund manager who would take his whole family to Italy for 3 months every year.
Right.
So one of the things that occurred to me is that you never have to miss out on that business anymore. Right?
Yeah.
Now you're able to say, go ahead, go to Italy, go to the Hamptons, you know, go wherever. It doesn't have to interfere with your schedule. I can still work with you in exactly the same way.
So if you have already an existing schedule, let's say every Tuesday and Thursday I teach an 11:10 class that has a following.
Yes.
And exactly that. I have a client who's moving to Florida for the winter. We specialize in Pilates reformer classes.
Yep.
He's actually buying a reformer to put in his house. He wants me to teach him. That's why it got me started on this.
This is a perfect use case scenario, right? So that you could, and like I was saying earlier, it's a little bit of a learned skill, but not that demanding to be able to look at the screen or the monitor or wherever it is that you're projecting this, and as if you were looking at another person in the same room with you. If you've got 3 reformers set up, now you have a 4th that just happens to live on a monitor. You'll have to use the same kind of assessment skills to be able to make sure that they're doing it safely and with the right form, and be able to have the cueing skills to be able to talk them through the process. Especially if you already have a relationship with the client and you've been working with them already, then it's not that big a step up to do this. And it is exactly what I do every day of my life, because I teach classes every day.
But I mean, this is my question. You were talking about 2-way and 1-way. Are you actually looking at them?
Yeah, they monitor in the room.
So like you're saying that the monitor represents that person and you're kind of keeping your eye on them too?
That's
yeah,
true.
that's kind of complex.
And can it be, well, it's not really. The monitors, can they be split screened and, you know, so that you can have 3-4 people all on the same monitor for the
So are you guys on a laptop or desktop right now?
laptop?
Your laptop. So I'm not sure if you've split this up, but in the upper right-hand corner, wherever your upper right-hand corner is, there's a couple of buttons. One of them says, you know, a little arrow starburst that will expand this out to full screen. If you haven't already done that, this will give you a little bit different view, just to fill the screen. And then there's another button next to it, which will say either gallery view or speaker.
Already done.
Yeah.
All right, so in gallery view now you have 6 screens, so you can be watching 6 different people. Every morning I put about 25 to 30 people into a screen like this. Now I've got a 42-inch monitor, so that makes it a little bit more, you know, I can see them better from across the room when I step back there. But I also have 2 banks of screens, so I can actually look at one person at a time over here and a group over there. Right? So this will allow you to, the Zoom platform is extremely versatile. You can
How sensitive? Right now, we're running on a hard line. What's it like running off of a 54K?
So I have a hardline running into this monitor and wireless running into that monitor. It's almost unnoticeable, the difference.
Okay.
Yeah. But I have to say that this is because of Zoom. The other platforms that I checked out are not that stable.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. So whether or not you go with Trainly, take my advice and use Zoom. Right.
I have a financial question. We're in New York City, and in New York City, they collect a 4.5% tax on services.
Also in California.
So, I mean, I don't know about California where you are. So do you collect? I mean, it's in that platform, the prices, collecting the tax and dealing with all that.
So that's a great question, and there's a number of questions that I've been asked about things like that, like insurance and copyrights and things like that. To be frank with you, this is such a new platform that there is a whole lot of regulation that doesn't exist and that will probably be written in the coming years, probably in the next 24 to 36 months. Right now, if you want to be on the safe side, you'd collect tax just like you would for any other digital service. Like if you sold like when I sell books or DVDs online, we collect tax, for that kind of thing. And
that tax is different than a service tax. So that's a sales tax and a service tax. This is you're actually providing a service here. So,
right. So if I was, if I wanted to be completely safe about it, I would collect the tax and put it aside in a separate account.
Yeah, all right. That's
which is
we already know. Okay, okay.
Yeah, that's what, and that's the kind of answer I've been giving to everybody who asks this question. The fact is, however, that no one has. I do not know of a single case, not one, anywhere so far, where a regulatory body has come to collect a fee for live streaming services.
Oh, they will soon, though.
They will soon. They'll figure it out. Like I said, the regulation will be written within the next 24 to 36 months. But currently, nobody's asking for it.
Yeah.
But,
well, it's just a matter of looking at the if they come in and audit you and say, well, where's this $175,000 from?
Right.
That that's what it comes down to.
Right.
All right. Well, I mean, it sounds interesting. I'm just trying to figure out how. If you actually have a live class going and you had this add-in component to it, because it's actually more time efficient to do that, and it's actually more genuine and it's more social that way too.
Right.
Do the people that are in the actual class that are taking it, do they ever get bothered by the fact that do they have to sign a release or anything because it's on video, or it's actually a class, so it's closed unless you're paying for it?
Right. So that's a great question also. So I address that often by saying to the people who are in the live class, the in-person class, I'm streaming this now. If you don't want to be on camera, then just move to this side and I can just point the camera to a narrower angle. We just don't film anybody who doesn't want to be filmed. Other kinds of releases and documentation is something that Trainly can actually provide. They can provide documents that people can sign right there online, so that you don't have to like email back and forth and host.
That was going to be my question. Is there a setup for, and is it, I mean, I would consider it mandatory that if I'm teaching somebody that they have signed a waiver and a release and all of that. So that's all part of Trainly?
Yeah, that's all. There is a student or client profile that Trainly has for them to fill out, and part of that is the waivers and the release forms and everything like that.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Do you guys have Russ? Sorry. Do you have a PAR-Q on in your client profile?
I think so. I'll have to look into it. But I made a note, and I'll definitely get back to you on that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just a nice feature. It could probably be added. I just didn't know for sure. I don't care personally. We do a different kind of assessment process when people come to my Tai Chi classes. So
there must be some disclaimer or something, but I mean, yeah, I'll we'll probably need to make it more prominent. If it's a very good point.
Yeah. But regardless, the point is that they have the capacity. They already provide documents that can be signed or clicked or whatever already. So if there were more that needed to be added, or as the service grows, and these guys are pretty easy to work with. You say, well, I really need X document for our particular clients. That's pretty easy just to copy the document and code it in so that people have then the ability to sign that off.
Like a PDF or something, you just send over a PDF and then it would be part of our profile kind of thing?
We can customize it for you. We can pretty much just set it for to user profile when they sign up with you.
Right.
To one of the steps would be to submit a form.
All right, and the widgets, like it's basically a single widget that just brings you to where?
It's a widget. So you have different types of services. You have webinars, group classes. You could do private classes one-on-one, and you could have, which is pretty much just your schedule of openings, and you can have your videos. So each of this will have a different widget that you can put on your site.
All right.
So for instance,
I'm gonna show you what this looks like.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Just show you this here. Can you see? This is my website. Are you able to see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a couple of different places that people can click on daily classes or the Book Now class. It takes them to the schedule page. And it's going to populate here in a second. There we go. Now, all of this that you see right here, this is actually the widget. But it just looks like my website. Right? So this is the widget. And I say, oh, I want to take this class with David-Dorian tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. So I'm going to click book it right there. And then it takes me to the Trainly sign-in page where they would just sign up for the class. So it's that easy. And then from here, once I sign up and do the whole thing, it will take them to your, it would take, in this case, it would take them to mine, or their individual dashboard, which would have my class now listed on it.
Okay.
Right? So it really looks like, wow, it's just part of his website, not a weird, different website they would have to go to it or anything at all like that.
Okay, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Julius, hold on one second. Yes.
I just wanted to comment on the widget. I've tried adding the widget to my website, and I've had some issues where it didn't show up. And the support that they had was fantastic. They emailed me right away, and they actually said that it did work on their end. And it turns out, because I was using WordPress and I have it forced to an HTTPS, which is the secure, it wouldn't show up. So I had to do some back thinking on my end, but the Trainerly support was fantastic. It was less than 24 hours before they got back to me and had it fixed and all that. I haven't started using Trainerly yet, but my first class is tomorrow, so wish me luck.
Good luck, man.
Yeah. And another comment about your classes. Some of my boot camp classes, I'll have 10 students because of the size of the room. But like David mentioned, just putting up a webcam, and now your 10 people can be, 100 people. So I'm pretty excited to get it started.
So we've been, oh my goodness, I had to look at the time. So we've been doing this for about an hour and a half. So far, we've had 525 people watch this webinar, come in on this webinar. We've got 60 people currently watching. And I was saying this the last time we did this presentation, when you start to market your services and you're getting out there and you're trying to advertise or find your target market, find people to let know what you're doing, the hardest part is getting the people in the room. Once you get them in the room, you can tell them who you are and you can explain what it is that you do, et cetera. But getting them in the room is the hardest part. This is why live streaming as a social networking strategy is so powerful, because we've already had 500 people come in and take a look at this since we started an hour and a half ago.
The quality of the cameras makes a difference.
Well, sure. No, we're just wondering, like, what as far as camera quality and so on and so forth. I mean, you know, trying to figure out because I've got some video cameras that, you know, are USB to computer, and it's, you know, a better you know, image than the webcam. So
this is something that guys at Trainerly don't really do. And this is why I say, if I can be of help, I want to offer my service, because I've, you know, been doing this for so long now. I've spent the money figuring out so that you don't have to spend the money. Right. Yeah. So it just kind of now depends upon the level of, you know, high quality or you know, fanciness that you want to get to. You already have the minimum requirement. You've got a built-in microphone and a built-in webcam, and that's all you need to get started. If you want to do something a little bit more fancy, I have bought and sold and experimented around, and now I figured that to get everything that I wanted, which includes mixing music into my class, not just like music playing on a speaker in the background, but actually mixing the music into my class with two microphones. I have a microphone right here and a microphone up there, right? I also have a mixer down there and a second mixer and a preamp over there, right?
Right.
Do the whole thing, all of the bells and whistles for $500. Right.
And you wear like a lavalier or a in-ear, some kind of voice mic?
You can do that. I burned through 13 of those, the lower quality ones. The ones that are actually worth anything are about $700 just for that lavalier. So I instead went to these two mics, a shotgun mic and a condenser mic, each of which were about $100.
And you've got the mixer to blend the sound and keep it seamless.
So this is where I stand when I'm teaching back here, and can you hear the sound quality right here?
Yeah.
Right. So this is just on the basis of this condenser mic here. And, then I'll just turn this mic back on, and there we are.
And so you're running one mic at a time, not simultaneous.
Well, I can do both. It's just, here's what happens. It gets a little tinny. You see when and really, again, my clients they don't care that much. Like, oh God, I'll never come back to this class because his fucking mic is really terrible. Right? But, you know, I want to be a little bit more professional, so I put this together. The other thing that I really wanted to do, because it makes a difference to me, is music. And so just to kind of show you what's possible using a mixer is, let me just,
I'm only one call away.
So right now I can mix the music in and talk over at the same time with no dropout, with pretty good quality. Right? That mixer right there cost me $65.
I'm only one.
So again, it just depends on how fancy you want to be, but it really is fairly low cost to set up your whole studio.
And you don't use any green screen kind of technology or anything like that?
I don't use any green screen because I'm very fortunate. First of all,
nice backdrop.
I have a very nice back. This was actually the set to my last DVD that I made with Great Courses last year. When they struck the set, they go, "We're probably going to throw this away. Would you like it?" I'm like, "Hell yes!" So that's the backdrop from there. But if you maybe probably didn't see it, but in the early some of the clips in the video I showed you of my classes, before I had the screen, I had a curtain in the background. Right? Right. It was just a nice curtain, and it made it for a nice backdrop, and that's all you needed. So again, it just depends on how fancy you want to get.
Right.
Yeah, great questions, you guys. It's very doable, and I wanted to say that I'm going to put up my my email address one more time here. And if you have any questions that you want to know from the point of view of a guy who's using it, who's making his whole business online, please go ahead and ask me. It could be technical stuff like equipment setup, or it could just be like what kinds of stories you have to tell, anything at all that you'd like to ask. Stuff about Trainly and the services that they provide, you should go right to Russ, and Leo, and get them to, take you on a tour and show you how it works.
And we definitely do one-on-one demos, so you guys feel free to. I'll drop my email too, but actually, you could just send us the email right from the website. But use mine and Leo's email, and what we do, we actually do. Mostly Leo will contact you and just do a demo with you, and in fact we'll help you with your setup and help you with your first classes, and then
All right, where did you drop those emails? Because I'm looking, I don't see them.
okay, if you look at the bottom, at the bottom of the Zoom screen where you have the mic and video,
Right.
then you have a little chat button there. You see
Yeah, I
it?
hit that. I didn't see the, oh, there they are. Okay, now I got it.
Right. This is my direct email. And
All right, cool.
All right.
if you send it to Get Fitted Trainly, which is on our website, and you can call in. You called in today, right?
Yeah. That's how we got back on.
Yeah, well, I mean, same thing. So it goes to us, and we'll be able to.
Got it.
All right, cool.
All right. Well, it looks like it's worth trying.
All right, please.
Awesome.
We'll be more than happy to have you.
All right.
All right, thanks so much.
And Felix, I wanted to thank you for being with us tonight. I just wanted to make sure if you had any questions. And you can type them into the chat box, or you can ask me, because I think we can hear you.
Felix went away.
Yeah. If not, I think we're going to call it an evening. I've got, and my goodness, you guys out there in New York City, it's like, it's cocktail time out there.
For you who get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's, something late, but.
Yeah.
All right, thanks again.
He's probably going to streamline even more. I mean, live stream more today.
Thank you.
All right, thanks again.
Be well, guys. Take care.
Yeah, can you please stay for a little just to make sure you got that video?
Yeah. Okay. It's been recording the whole time. I've been watching the button there.
All right. You have a good
I got you covered, brother. All right. Good night, all. We'll talk to you later.
All right, good night.